Hello, good morning, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. Again, my name is Andrea Banu, and we have a lot to talk about. First and foremost, we have got to talk about New York City. So much is happening in New York City. This new Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, is not playing with New York City. No, ma'am. She has started to lay down the gauntlet. She is suing. She's suing New York City for all this immigration sanctuary city nonsense, okay? And Eric Adams just had his charges overturned. We got a lot to talk about because even though he's in the clear for now, he's still being incredibly compromised. So we're going to talk about it. Go ahead and get you a cup of coffee, a little bit of popcorn, snack, whatever you need, and enjoy the show. Okay. First, we are going to jump in to the new, well, it was actually a couple days ago. They just reversed all the charges against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. Now, as you remember, during the Biden administration, Biden started pushing back. Biden was like, no. You need to be on board with this immigration system and not say anything in rebellion of it or else, okay? Because as you remember, there were millions and millions of people dropped off in the city of Manhattan, and they were pushing them all throughout the 5 boroughs. And Eric Adams was like, wait a minute, this is getting out of control. We can't house these people. We can't feed these people. We need some more money from the federal government. And Biden was like, no, you just gonna have to make it work. And so Eric Adams started pushing back, and he was like, listen, I'm all for immigration, but this has gotten out of control. He started speaking publicly about it. He started doing press conferences about it, and the Biden administration ain't like that. So they did him. They pulled like an 80s pimp hoe situation and was like, listen, you just need to play your part or else. And so they hit him with some charges. Okay, you gonna push back on this immigration system and this immigration plan that we got? Oh, we gonna get you with some charges. We gonna do you like we did Trump, okay? And so they got all these bribery charges on him, and he was scared. And so I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you've been following it, but he was in support of Trump because he was like feeling it. It was getting thick, okay? Because he knew in a minute he could be prosecuted and be sitting on Rikers Island. So once Trump got reelected, he was like, I'm going to work with Trump. I'm going to try to get this immigration thing under control because he needed a pardon, okay? He needed to get out of jail free card. And so it happened. Department of Justice went ahead and reversed all those charges. And we're going to watch because although they reversed those charges, it's still more to the system. It's still more to the story. So let's dig in.
Ordering all charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, including allegations that he took bribes from other countries, to be dropped. Brooke Singman here now with the details. Good morning, Brooke.
Hey, good morning, Todd. That's right. Acting U.S. Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove ordering prosecutors here in New York to drop the bribery, fraud, and corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Here's Adams reacting to the news last night. Listen.
And we're going to find out more information. I don't have much now. I'm just sitting down now with John Catsimatidis, and I'm going to reach out to my attorney. I don't have much more information.
Yeah. Your initial reaction is what?
Well, I think that I would like to speak with him first and get a better understanding of exactly what's taking place now.
The acting deputy attorney general who made the move believes the original charges may have been politically motivated. He wrote in his memo, quote, "It cannot be ignored that Mayor Adams criticized the prior administration's immigration policies before the charges were filed. We are particularly concerned about the impact of the prosecution on Mayor Adams' ability to support critical, ongoing federal efforts to protect the American people from the disastrous effects of unlawful mass migration and resettlement." So here is a look at the the charges Adams was facing, which included counts for allegedly accepting campaign contributions from foreign nationals, as well as counts of soliciting and accepting a bribe. Adams' attorney Alex Spiro celebrating this legal victory, saying, quote, "As I said from the outset, the mayor is innocent and he would prevail," adding, quote, that the Department of Justice has reevaluated this case and determined it should not go forward. There is good reason for that. Although today is a major win for the mayor, he may not be entirely off the hook, as this dismissal was ordered without prejudice, meaning charges could be refiled in the future. Guys.
So there you see it. They did him a solid for now, okay? So they made it to where the charges are dropped without prejudice, meaning we just gonna put you on ice for a little bit. And if you play your cards right, you'll be safe. Otherwise, we gonna go ahead and drop them charges back on you. You're gonna be sitting on Rikers Island. So he's in quite a precarious situation. Now, the thing that makes this a little tricky is that the Department of Justice just decided to sue New York, okay? She's decided to sue Kathy Hochul, the government, Letitia James, the district attorney, and the head of the DMV. So it seems like what's been happening is, with this whole sanctuary city status, they've been protecting a lot of these illegals. And you know, that's not on par with what Trump's trying to accomplish. He's trying to get these people out. And so Mayor Adams said, you know, he was going to work with Trump. He's trying to do that a little bit. However, you got all these other officials in New York that's like putting in all these guardrails and trying to make it difficult with Trump, because you know Trump and Letitia James got history. Letitia James was the one that was bringing up all those frivolous charges in New York and trying to, you know, put the nail in the coffin, and all of that got washed away. So she still has an axe to grind. Well, so does Trump. And so he got this new Pam Bondi, and she like, listen, we're gonna figure out a way to do this legally, okay, and hold you accountable for what's happening and hold you accountable for standing in our way. So I want you to see this video about what Miss Pam Bondi is trying to do to New York City.
I'm Natasha Burma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. Attorney General Pam Bondi going after New York leaders over the state's immigration policies. Bondi, in her first press conference since taking office, taking aim at Governor Hochul and State Attorney General Letitia James. The AG responding, saying the state's laws protect all New Yorkers.
Fox 8's Sharon Crowley has been monitoring the very latest and joins us live from the newsroom. Sharon?
Yeah, that's right, Natasha and Steve. President Trump, of course, ran and won on mass deportation and rebuilding a border wall. And his new attorney general is now going after states with sanctuary cities. The civil lawsuit comes just days after the Justice Department sued the city of Chicago, alleging its sanctuary laws were blocking federal efforts to enforce immigration laws.
New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next.
President Trump's new U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, announcing the Justice Department is filing a civil complaint against New York's governor, attorney general, and the DMV commissioner for allegedly failing to enforce federal immigration laws.
They have green light laws, meaning they're giving a green light to any illegal alien in New York, where law enforcement officers cannot check their identity if they pull them over.
New York State's green light law, created in 2019, allows people to obtain a driver's license regardless of immigration status. Attorney General Bondi believes it also creates roadblocks for ICE agents.
DMV has this policy known as the tip-off provision, where if federal immigration authorities contact the Department of Motor Vehicles in New York for records relating to someone who is an illegal immigrant, that the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles then notifies that person that these records have been requested.
Mass deportation of illegal immigrants is a top priority of the Trump administration. It's why states with sanctuary cities are the first target of the DOJ. President and CEO of the New York Immigration Coalition believes the state of New York will win this civil case in court.
Pam Bondi's lawsuit against the state of New York is as frivolous as they come. The 10th Amendment allows states to create their own laws that allow them to continue to do what's best for their residents. And that's exactly what the Green Light New York law is about. It's making our roads safer and ensuring that everyone has access to a driver's license.
And just in, we're getting some reaction from the New York State Attorney General James. She responded saying, quote, in part, the green light law protects the rights of all New Yorkers and keeps our communities safe, saying she's prepared to defend those laws. And we just got word from Governor Hochul, a spokesperson, saying in part that New York's current laws do allow federal immigration officials to access the DMV database, but they must have a judicial warrant. Natasha, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Sharon.
So there you have it. You have quite a pickle in New York City, because you've got New York, that's a sanctuary city. They've got all these immigrants here. You've got all of this need for resources and fighting with the federal government to actually make that happen. And then you've got Mayor Eric Adams, who was on the ground in the city with the people saying, I'm going to work with the Trump administration. We got to get these people out of here, and we got to do it in a diplomatic manner, because we just cannot afford to continue in the manner in which we have been. Yet you got Letitia James and Kathy Hochul that's like, no, we're going to continue to put guardrails in place so that it's going to make it difficult. So it's crazy, because you've got the Attorney General over here, Letitia James, that still wants to stick it to Trump for whatever reason necessary, for whatever she can, in any way she can. You've got kind of Kathy Hochul in the middle, who's acting governor, and she's like, listen, I understand both sides of it, but, I got to govern. And then you've got Eric Adams. It's like, listen, my freedom is hanging in the wind. Y'all got to work with me. So it's just a mess in terms of leadership in New York right now. And then to add insult to injury, this whole FEMA situation has come about. So now they just found out a couple days ago that FEMA has been paying up to like $59 million to New York City so that immigrants can be housed in these hotels. And oh my goodness, not only did the federal government, Trump and his administration, fire a bunch of these FEMA workers, but they just took the money back. Eric Adams asked Biden for a bunch of money, right, so that he could house these immigrants. Biden was telling him no the whole time. Right before he left office, went ahead and approved the check. Approved a check for like $80 million to go to New York for this migrant situation. Trump found about it right after he got into office and said, give me that money back. Give me that check back. And so now the city is just in a mess. I gotta read this article. So the article that I just read in the New York Times is talking all about it. It says New York got $80 million for migrants. The White House took it back. Well, I mean, like literally before the check went out, he was like, stop it right now, okay? Eric Adams, the whole city of New York, all of these officials are like, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to get the money. It's going to work out. And Trump was like, no, it's not. I'm not paying for none of this. I'm not paying for none of this. Y'all thought I was playing, and I'm not playing, right? And so the New York City Comptroller's Office, which first noticed the missing money, said that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, again, FEMA, had unilaterally taken the funds from the city's accounts. So they just, hey, give me that back. Give me that back. No. We didn't approve none of that. We doing an audit. We combing through all this. Ain't no money going out. We putting a stop to all of it. That's what Trump and the administration has done. The Trump administration quickly made good on its vow to claw back federal funding meant to cover some of the cost of housing migrants borne by New York City, unilaterally reversing the transfer of $80 million that the Federal Emergency Management Agency made to the city just last week. City leaders said on Wednesday that they noticed $80 million had suddenly gone missing from city bank accounts. Shortly after, the Department of Homeland Security, which houses FEMA, confirmed that the money had been taken back on Tuesday, a significant escalation of President Trump's attempts to freeze or reverse funding that had previously been appropriated by Congress. Is that right? Yeah, appropriated. The clawback occurred one day after Elon Musk targeted the FEMA funds in a post on X, inciting a Republican uproar over the use of federal dollars to shelter migrants and prompting the Trump administration to fire 4 FEMA officials involved in the transfer. City officials questioned the legality of the move, which appeared to be among the first known instances of the Trump administration seizing back congressionally appropriated funds from a locality. Liz Garcia, a spokeswoman for Mayor Eric Adams, said that City Hall had communicated with the White House and had requested an emergency meeting with FEMA to try and resolve the matter as quickly as possible. She added that City Hall was conducting an internal investigation into how this occurred. What do you mean how it occurred? He just said stop it. Just stop the check. Like, block it. Can't happen. And that the city's law department was already exploring various litigation options. The federal government is typically allowed to recoup funds already dispersed through grants if the payments are deemed improper or in violation of the grant agreement, though the process can be lengthy and administratively burdensome for agencies, according to the Congressional Research Service. I have clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to NYC migrant hotels. Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, said on X, "Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes against the interest and safety of the American people." Ms. Noem seemed to justify the clawback by saying that the city was using FEMA funding to finance the use of the Roosevelt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan as a migrant shelter, claiming that the hotel served as a base of operations for Trinidad Aragua, a Venezuelan gang that Donald Trump recently moved to designate a foreign terrorist organization. Police officials have said that the gang has recruited members from inside migrant shelters and that the Roosevelt, which houses hundreds of migrant families, has housed members of an offshoot of the gang. Donald Trump, or Mr. Trump, appeared to refer to the Roosevelt Hotel during a news conference on Wednesday, referring to a hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for migrants where they're making a fortune. City officials have said they do not pay luxury rates to the hotels they have contracted to house migrants. The city paid an average nightly rate of about $156 per room in 2024. Some legal experts said that the federal government was bound to honor binding contracts and suggested that the reclaiming of the $80 million could be illegal if the city's reimbursement agreement with FEMA did not authorize a clawback. In addition, this appears to be an attempt to impound appropriated funds without following the procedures set out in the Impoundment Control Act, said David S. Super, a professor of administration law at Georgetown, blah, blah, blah. The funds in question were appropriated by Congress last year under former President Biden. The payment was issued through a grant from the Shelter in Service Program, administered by FEMA and initiated by Congress in 2023 to issue grants to cities and organizations providing services to migrants who had been released from federal custody after crossing the border. Now, remember, the last speaker of the White House, what's her name, Jean-Pierre, stated that FEMA was not using any funds for migrants. And now that has been proven to be a lie. Remember, she was like, FEMA, oh my God, that's a conspiracy theory. We are not using FEMA funds to house migrants. Now we know that's bull. So, and remember, when it came time to help all these people in South and North Carolina and Florida due to the hurricanes, we ain't got no more money. Remember, Homeland Security came out and said, we don't have no more money. And we were like, why you ain't got no money? Because they sent it all to New York and all over the other shelter sanctuary cities to house these migrants. So now that you got Trump and his administration in office, we like, we cutting all that back. So now we can see that our tax dollars we can't even protect Americans. We can't even send real money. FEMA cannot even send real money to Americans because all the money is going to house migrants. That is definitely a conflict of interest, okay? A conflict of interest with regards to our tax dollars. So let me get back to it. The program created amid record high border crossings that overwhelmed cities across the country became a frequent target of Mr. Trump and his Republican allies, who expressed outrage over the use of taxpayer dollars to house migrants in hotels and other shelters. Mr. Trump falsely claimed last year that FEMA had depleted its budget and diverted disaster relief funds to pay for migrant housing, even though the shelter program amounted to a fraction of the federal agency's overall budget and was part of a separate funding stream. Similar misleading criticism of the program resurfaced on Monday when Elon Musk, in a post on X, said that his government cost-cutting team had identified a $59 million payment that FEMA made to New York City to support the housing of migrants at hotels. Mr. Musk, without elaborating, said that the payment had violated the law in Trump's executive order. The $59 million, city officials said, was part of the $80 million payment that FEMA was previously allocated to the city and paid in full last week. That money is part of an overarching $237 million that the Biden administration committed to the city for migrant expenses. Well, listen, okay, so it wasn't $59 million. It was actually $80 million, okay? And actually, it was a huge check of like $237 million that was supposed to be allotted to all of these cities for migrants. But wait a minute, it came from FEMA. FEMA is supposed to be for disaster relief. FEMA is not supposed to be for migrants. Period. So when you have a national disaster, a natural disaster, like you do with hurricanes and the fires in California, Americans need support. You cannot come back and say we don't have no more money because we kept these borders open and we needed all these people to pick all of our vegetables and our fruits at slave wages and we needed to house them and feed them. So I'm sorry, Americans, but we can't save you. That's not going to fly. And that's what the Biden administration was trying to sell. That's what they was trying to sell. And so as you see, Trump is not going for it. Trump and this administration is not going for it. And like I said, it is putting Eric Adams in a serious bind because he cannot pay for all these migrants, but he can't kick up too much dust because he just had them charges dropped. And so he is stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And Eric Adams, if you're watching, I would advise you to just sit back and be quiet and let that man do what he got to do. Just watch him work, okay? If he said, I'm trying to get these immigrants out, you just need to abide. You just need to support it and say, listen, if I can agree to give you like 50 million and let ICE come in here and get all these criminals out, get all these gangs out, get all these people out of these prisons, and I'll work with you outside of what's happening with Kathy Hochul and Letitia James, listen, let's just get it done. And then after I give you all these immigrants, can you cut us a check so that we can recoup some of the loss and get our city back to where it needs to be? Because New York is chaos right now. It is chaos. And you got all these gangs, you got all this prostitution, you got all these brothels. It's all in the Bronx, it's in Queens, it's in Brooklyn, it's all over the place. People can't ride the trains like we used to. It's getting crazy. And so New York is like a hub of just of chaos right now. You know, you still got these Democrats in power who want to fight to keep these criminals in the country. Why? Can somebody please explain that to me? That's something that I have not been able to wrap my mind around. Now, I get that you don't want people's grandmothers and their children to be deported, but Tom Homan, as well as Trump, has said criminals are going to be our focus. Gangs are going to be our focus. People who have created and chaos in these cities are going to be our focus. So why are you trying to protect them? Why are Democrats trying to house them? Can somebody explain that to me? I'm not understanding that. I don't understand how you have families who have been negatively impacted by these criminals, lost their children, lost their daughters, had their loved ones raped and unalived, and yet we should protect them? We shouldn't send them back home? Our taxpaying dollars should like support them and feed them and allow them to flourish? What am I missing? I'm not understanding that. I just don't understand it. Is it because they just want to push back on everything Trump, or do they genuinely just not care about their citizens? So can somebody get in the comments and please explain it to me? Because I really want to know what the problem is. But nonetheless, this is getting rather spicy in New York, and I am loving what is happening. I love to get up in the morning and see all the chaos and drink my coffee. I don't do tea. So to hear all the tea and go over these politicians. Listen, politics for me is my soap opera. Like, I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. I don't do Basketball Wives and, you know, the Real Housewives of Atlanta and all that. I'm watching CNN. I'm watching what's happening on Capitol Hill because that is where the real scandals are going on, okay? So listen, if you like me and you like politics and you like to see all the drama happening with all these politicians and what's going on with these laws and what's going on with these borders and this crazy Trump administration, please continue to tune tune in, subscribe, because I need all the love so I can continue to make this content. And so again, thank you so much for continuing to support me, continuing to watch to the end. I love you. I thank you. And again, my name is Andrea Banu, and this is the Community Ledger. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here.